All right, Metalheads, this is DJ REM at Metalhead Radio, and I have Brian from the band Last Bullet. How are you tonight, my friend?
I'm fantastic, man. How's it going?
It's going great. It's going great. It's been nice here in Michigan. It hasn't been too cold, and we're supposed to get an ice storm, but hoping that misses us.
Yeah, we haven't gotten too much snow here either. We've been pretty lucky. So most of you guys, I know you think it's pretty cold up here, but it's not. It hasn't been too bad. We're pretty lucky.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you know where Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan is. It's right on the border with Sault, Ontario.
Okay, I got you.
That's where I grew up.
Yep.
So.
Very cool. Lots of snow there usually.
Yes. Okay, so tell me. Well, let's start with. Okay, since we just have you, Brian, on the line, can you go ahead and mention the other members of the band and just go ahead and mention all your guys and what your spots are?
Yeah, for sure, not a problem. My name is Brian Fontes. I'm the lead singer of the band / frontman. We also have Mr. Brendan Armstrong, who is the lead guitarist of the band. And we also have Michael Silva, who is the rhythm guitarist. Will Shannon is our bassist, and Leo DeFina is pounding the drums in the back.
Very cool. And so what is going on right now with you guys currently? What's in the works?
Well, we just finished doing a little mini tour of Toronto that we called the Toronto Takeover. And the goal basically was just to make sure every single band and person in the music industry knows our name and who we are and that we exist by the end of the tour. We just tried to play every single big venue in Toronto, which I won't bother naming because anyone listening in the States won't necessarily know the venues, but we played all the biggest venues in Toronto pretty much is what it comes down to. And we just pretty much wrap that up. We have a big event here in Toronto that you might have heard of before called CMW, which is short for Canadian Music Week. It's a huge event. People fly in from all over the world, musicians from everywhere. Slash is actually performing here as well, and a bunch of bands. And yeah, it's a really cool little conference where you get to go and meet a whole bunch of bands and meet a whole bunch of different musicians and go to all these little workshops and learn a lot about the music industry while making a lot of really, really cool contacts. So we're looking forward to that. And then pretty much right after that, we only have about 2 or 3 shows left here in Toronto. And once we're done, we're taking a long break. And by long, I mean about a month. To record the new EP, which is something that we're really, really excited for, and that'll be the next thing for us.
So, you kind of touched on this, but is it pretty? Is the scene pretty good there? I mean, is there a lot of opportunity to play on a regular basis for you guys?
There definitely is. The venues are great. There's a lot of opportunities to play. There's a lot of really, really quality bands up here in Toronto. I mean, like any city, there's a lot of bands that are a dime a dozen, and a lot of bands that have a similar sound and whatnot. But if you really sift through it, there's a lot of really, really good talent up here in Toronto, and the venues are great. My favorite part about it is there's a really friendly atmosphere. Everyone's trying to help each other out. When you get to the higher levels, when you get to radio and things like that, like FM radio, there's a lot of politics involved. So that might be the part that most musicians here are not a big fan of. But yeah, when it comes to helping each other out and the music itself, everyone is really friendly. And once you get in touch with all the promoters and stuff, and you just you go to these venues to do a good job and put on a good show. If you do your job and you live up to your end, then they'll live up to theirs, and everyone gets a pat on the back and benefits from it.
Yep, you got that right. So what? There's nothing better than networking, especially the way that business is these days.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more.
So you kind of touched on there's a lot of bands out there. Everybody's trying to do their thing. What sets you guys apart? What put you above a lot of these other bands?
Well, the first thing I noticed, like every band, when you first start, you think you're gonna be huge and get signed, and it's gonna be so easy and this and that, and it's hilarious because it's become a cliche, and the bands that have been doing it for a while, they know, like, that's how it kind of starts, and you have basically delusions of grandeur. You think like it's going to be much easier and much bigger than it might actually be to get there. But yeah, the problem with a lot of bands is that a lot of people are naive and they think they don't have to work very much. And we've only been doing this for about 2 or 3 years, to be honest, just over 2 years. But I'm really happy with how fast we've progressed, how much we've learned, and we've done that by playing relentlessly, as many shows as possible, talking to as many people as possible to take in as much information as we can, and going to shows. We've been going to a lot of shows of even small bands here and there, bands that we saw recently that were smaller and then exploded, like the Sheepdogs, for example. That just got that huge opportunity, and they ended up winning that contest to be on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine.
Nice.
Things like that. Going to see other bands is probably the thing that's been helping us the most for 2 reasons. Number one, you meet a lot of really cool people at those shows. It's a good way to network and get your CDs out and your music and your band, your name. But you also get to see how friggin' good these bands really are. Even these like the bands that aren't even successful yet or considered successful yet. Like sometimes we've gone to see a band and we're just in awe. We're just like, holy crap, we got to step things up. And every time we do a show, every time we go to a show and we have that effect, when we see that, we really figure out that we need to improve, and we go back to the studio and we do that, and we try to improve in all areas. So what we have that I feel no one else does, I think, is our style of music. We play very Americanized sounding rock that wouldn't normally fit in Canada or in Toronto's indie rock setting. Toronto's very indie rock, indie pop. And we play pretty hard, bluesy, sexy, balls to the wall, high energy party rock. So yeah, that sets us apart. It works for us, and sometimes it works against us. Some people love us. Some people can't dig it quite as quickly. But you know what? We put on a really good live show. I think that's our number one draw, our charisma and our live show, our energy. And I think that's what's going to set us apart at the end of the day. And I feel like our music and our stage show is good enough that it doesn't matter what kind of music you like, you're going to enjoy yourself in some way or another. There's something you can relate to. And I don't know how no one could relate to just picking up a bottle of beer and like tapping your foot, shaking your head, and having a good time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless you're like dead inside.
Yeah, you gotta have no soul, no pulse. So, and we definitely get your blood pumping. Trust me.
So yeah, after watching that little video you guys put together, I get the sense that you guys like to have fun.
Oh yeah, we're too much sometimes. So we got enough stories. I'll have to tell you when we come down and play a show in Detroit there.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. Very cool.
Yeah, man.
What Okay, you just recently released your album, right?
Actually, it wasn't recent. Surprisingly, it was It was February, the end of February in 2011. So February 26th, 28th, around there.
Oh wow, I was way off. Sorry.
Yeah, no, not a problem. A lot of people don't know that. We don't have that information like very easily accessible. It's on our Facebook, but you have to really look into our biography. Yeah, very long story short, we released it in February to a packed house here at one of the nicest venues here. It's called the Rock Pile. Really, really nice place. Packed it to about 500 people, which is its full capacity. And yeah, it was a really good night. It was a lot of fun. And we've even improved a lot since then. And the CD's been doing really well. We got on FM radio recently, which we're really excited about. We got on FM radio for the first time in Edmonton. They were nice enough to put us on full rotation. It was 100.3 The Bear, I believe. Full rotation, and so 2-3 plays a day for the next 3 months, which is fantastic. And then once people heard that, it started snowballing a bit, and there's a few other stations in Vancouver and British Columbia all over the place that are starting to pick us up. So it's looking really good, and we hope that it snowballs to the kind of proportions that we're aiming for.
That's very cool. I wish you all luck with that. And how cool is that to be driving down the road and hear yourself on the radio? That's got to be awesome.
Yeah, that would be weird. You know what? That hasn't happened yet because we haven't gotten on the radio here in Toronto. That's like I'd say next to impossible you can have a briefcase full of $1 million, and you probably wouldn't get here on the radio here in Toronto. There's a lot of politics,
right.
But if we ever go to Edmonton, then that would definitely happen. But yeah, we're looking forward to getting on more FM stations, because the more FM stations you can get on, the bigger of a resume you have, and the easier it is to approach bigger stations in bigger, more prestigious cities like Toronto and Montreal and things like that.
Right. So you mentioned that you guys have only been around about 2 or 3 years. How did you guys all meet and get together, and how did the band form?
Yeah, that's a very interesting story. The band was together. So the drummer and the two guitarists were good friends in high school, and they were also good friends in high school with the drummer. But the two guitarists started just fooling around on their own, just playing some of their own riffs, just things, little things here and there, nothing serious. They had no expectations. They had no set goals. They just got together to jam and fool around. And then they started playing. Well, one of the guys heard some of their stuff, our drummer Leo, and said, "You know what? If you need a drummer, I play drums. I'd love to come jam with you guys." He did that. They started putting stuff together. They started having the idea in their head that they wanted to pursue music. So really quickly they put out an ad on Craigslist for a bassist, and the first person who answered, his name was Will Shannon, and he came in and fit the part perfectly. He did a real good job, and he's been our bassist ever since. And the only missing piece was myself. Now, I hate telling this story. I usually make sure they tell it, because the guy who was the last piece usually can't tell the story, but I'm going to have to. So, long story short, I was playing the drums. I've been playing the drums for a while, and I was playing the drums in a Black Sabbath tribute band. And very long story short, I got kind of fed up with playing the drums in a tribute band, and I wanted to pursue original music, original material. And I was singing for a while since I was a kid, and I really wanted to kind of be a lead singer of the band. So I saw a whole bunch of flyers at a jam space that we were jamming at, that we were paying for to jam at. And I just saw a flyer with some numbers saying Last Bullet, sounds like Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Aerosmith, looking for lead singer. So there was 3 numbers left. I took a number, made a phone call. I wrote the lyrics to a song that they had on their MySpace called Can't Move On. I showed up, I sang the lyrics, and everything fit, and the rest is history. And now, ironically, we all happen to be the same age, same background, like the same music, have the same taste, same sense of humor, and we're all best friends now.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that story, by the way.
No problem, my friend.
So, how often, let's go back to now. How often do you guys get together and practice and just do what you do?
Yeah, our practices are pretty extensive. We focus on a lot of specific things, even like stage show. We think about like where we should be moving, things like that. And you have to take it really seriously. A lot of people just think that it's enough just to get together and just run through the songs, and that's a huge mistake. That's not how your practices should be run. They should be very disciplined, very strategic, very focused. You got to focus on all the little things. Like if you got 2 singers, you got to focus on harmonies. If you're an energetic band, you got to focus on what you're going to do with your energy, how you're going to move, what you're going to do, and you got to pick your spots for things to be interesting for the fans and whatnot. So we usually practice 1 to 2 times a week, which is enough if you have a solid couple-hour practice. We usually practice for about in between 2 and 4 hours, and that's 1 to 2 times a week. And yeah, that's about it.
Very nice. So when you guys are writing new songs and stuff, what's your process for that? Do you write most of the stuff, or is there other people that kind of contribute? How do you guys do that?
Yeah, that's a pretty good question. Everybody's different. There's no really, from my experience from listening to other bands and watching documentaries and reading up on my idols, my role models, singers, guitarists, musicians, all different types of musicians. I realized that there's no set of rules for writing music, and the way we do it is all over the place. We don't follow one path. our guitarist at first, how we usually used to write songs is he would come up with a riff, which is what most bands do typically. It's usually the norm. It would be the number one cause of writing music. But yeah, he'll write a riff, and if we're all feeling it, or if it moves us in some way, either myself or Mike, which is our rhythm guitarist, he also writes lyrics, we'll start writing a vocal melody and some lyrics, and then we'll just piece it together one instrument at a time. But it usually starts with a riff, and then it goes to vocals, and then branches out from there. Although, like I said, there's no rules, and we've done it many different ways. I've literally written something on the piano to start, or just vocals to start, or just vocals and drums, and then I have a vibe, for example, and then I'll sing something over top of drums, and then I'll show it to my guitarist, and he'll write a riff around it. So yeah, it's kind of all over the place, and I like it that way because I think it would be boring if you just kept writing music one way, you know?
Yeah, I was just going to say, that sounds like it keeps it fun and entertaining too.
Yeah, it definitely is, and we want to keep it nice and simple for now, but we definitely plan on exploring new ideas in the future, and other instruments, incorporating piano and keyboards and things like that. So yeah.
So do you ever find yourself getting in any kind of rut with when you're writing lyrics and like trying to put some sort of message out there? Do you ever get into that, or you just kind of, I guess, just if you could elaborate more on how you write your lyrics?
Yeah. Usually when I write lyrics, what I do is, for example, if it was my guitarist that gave me a riff, or we have most of the music finished, just no vocals, no melodies, no lyrics, the first thing I do is I write down on a piece of paper in point form a bunch of questions. And usually the questions are things like, how does this make me feel? Where does this take me? What does this music mean to me? Things like that. I try to get an attitude out of what the riff is making me feel, what it's doing, if it sounds happy, if it sounds minery and sad, or if it sounds aggressive and angry. And then I kind of choose an idea based on the emotion that I feel, and then I run with it from there. So I do get stuck in ruts sometimes, but if I leave it alone long enough and then come back to it, I usually find I'm pretty good. As far as my songwriting goes, I find I don't songwrite for long periods of time, and then it just comes out of nowhere. I'll literally be at work, and then I'll think of a really cool idea. I'll just think of a guitar riff in my head or a vocal melody, and it could be one line of words. It could be 3 words, and it just sounds interesting to me, and I kind of have an idea coming from it. So I quickly record that out on my phone. I get home, and then I expand on it from there. So yeah, never let any ideas you have go to waste, or never ignore it and say, oh, I'll try to remember it when I get home. Always get it down right away. That's the one thing that I learned, because there's a lot of good ideas that I've had that I've lost thinking that I'll get it back again.
You know, and I totally get that, because I'll be at work and I'll think of an idea for one of my radio shows, or it's just something that I want to do with the radio station, whatever. And I'll email myself so I don't forget, because if I don't, it's gone.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. It's one of those things. It's like the whole lightning in a bottle thing. You have to really, once you have it, just grab a hold of it as much as you can and flesh that idea out, really, really quick. And we've done that before. We have a song that we're going to be recording coming up on our EP that no one's heard really. And long story short, we wrote it. Me and the guitarist Brendan, the lead guitarist, we wrote it in his basement in 4 minutes.
Wow.
He had a riff, and he was just playing something, and I just started randomly singing stuff, and then I wrote in filler lyrics, what I thought were filler lyrics. They were literally not supposed to make sense, and just to go with the idea I had for a melody, and then I was going to go back home and revise them, and they ended up being the lyrics that we kept. We didn't change a damn thing. So it was interesting. We ended up reading them over, and we actually liked them and made sense of them. So yeah, it's interesting. It's just cool how it happens, and I love how there's no set of rules, and it's just dynamic and creative, and you can do it however you want. You know, everybody's different.
Yep, it's amazing where inspiration can come from.
Definitely.
So let's talk about the album that's out right now. Where did you guys record that at? Yeah,
we recorded that at Vespa Studios. It's called Vespa. in Toronto here, or just like it's pretty much in Toronto, just north of Toronto, in a small area called North York. And it's a really prestigious studio, actually. It's the same studio. I don't know if you know any of these bands. I'm assuming you'd know a few of them. It was the same studio where Billy Talent's recorded Hail the Villain, My Darkest Days, Sarah McLachlan, Big Wreck, Ian Thornley, all those artists and more. Actually, I think even Muse is recorded there. But yeah, all those artists and more have recorded at that studio, and we got really lucky because I made a friend that I used to jam with about 5-6 years ago, and I jammed with him, and I didn't talk to him for 4 years, but I had him on Facebook. This goes to show how awesome Facebook is, because I don't. When people tell me how much they hate Facebook, I'm just like, no, man, it's amazing. Trust me. So I had him on Facebook. I haven't talked to him in 4 years, and it turns out he was taken under the wing of the guy who owns Vespa Studios. His name is Harry Hess. He was actually in a big metal band back in the day called Harem Scarum.
Yep, I remember them.
They did really well. You remember them, yeah?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah, there you go. So he was the lead singer of Harem Scarum. His name was Harry Hess. He owns Vespa Studios, and he took our producer, whose name is Chris Snow, under his wing pretty much, and he started working at Vespa Studios. And when we started, when he looked into, he started researching that we were in a band. He's just like, hey, you're in a band? If you need a recording, let me know. I work at Vespa Studios. Didn't know anything about it, so I did some research and figured it out very quickly that it was a great opportunity. Saw him again after 4 years. Now we're best buddies, and he's the one who ended up producing the entire album. And then Mr. Harry Hess himself mastered our EP, which was awesome. It was an honor. So yeah.
That is an awesome story. Thank you.
Yeah, very cool. No problem. Thanks for having us on here.
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to talk about you now. What were your influences growing up? What got you into just want to be into music, into rock? Just what made you? What was that spark that was like, hey, you know what? I want to do this. Yeah,
it was a long journey, and I'll try to summarize as best as I can. Without sounding cheesy or cliche, I'm being as honest as I can with you. Like when I was a kid, when I was like 3 years old, like I have videos of me taking pots and pans out of the cupboards and making noise. Like as soon as I heard something on the radio, Michael Jackson came on the radio, I'd just start taking pots and pans out and just slamming them with wooden spoons. So it started there. I liked to make noise when I was a kid. Then I started piano lessons when I was 8. And like most kids who started piano lessons early, I didn't want to learn all the classical boring stuff at first, so I ended up quitting piano. And my interest in music didn't start until later in life, when I started taking music again in grade 7. I started on the drums, on the snare. I started playing marching snare in in elementary school, grade 7. Played that for 3-4 years. 2-3 years, and then I went to high school. I started playing the trombone, and I joined the choir, joined the jazz choir, joined an African heritage choir, joined a classical choir, and I just started playing a lot of instruments. And the biggest influence in terms of me becoming a musician and learning that and getting that spark that you speak of, not necessarily for rock and roll, but just for music in general, was my music teacher. I owe everything to him. He was a great guy. I wish every single human being could have a music teacher like that. If you ever seen the movie Mr. Holland's Opus,
yes, I have.
It was pretty much the same story, but even more insane, even more ridiculous. It was like it was a movie. He was a great teacher. Really, really taught you how to feel the music and have a passion for it, and not just listen to it. He made it much more complex, and it showed me a side to music that was much more beautiful than anything I could ever see. And that's why I have an appreciation for everything. I listen to classical, I listen to jazz, I listen to everything. But as far as rock goes, the first bands that I was growing up with, because of my age and what was big at the time, was bands like Nirvana, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, even Bush. Even Green Day, Offspring, bands like that. I started listening to those guys, and then I started listening to the bands that came before them that kind of influenced them because I wanted to know where the roots came from, and went down to Guns N' Roses and Aerosmith and AC/DC, and those are the bands that I really ended up liking a lot. And I fell in love with like the really, really bluesy rock stuff, and then that got me into a lot of Queens of the Stone Age, and I started loving the White Stripes and everything Jack White does. It's just so filthy and creative at the same time. It just blows my mind, some of his guitar work. And yeah, I take influence from a lot of different things, especially now, like for my performance and my the way I tailor my stage show for myself, not for the rest of the band, is I try to like take influences from I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's a Canadian rock artist. His name is Danko Jones. Really, really good. If you ever get a chance, look up Danko Jones. You will not be disappointed. Okay, really good, straight, balls to the wall, high energy rock and roll. Great voice, great rock voice. I try to like take some cues from him because he's got a great voice for rock. And yeah, from Axl, from Steven Tyler, all those guys, they're all really impressive, and they have that bluesy, smoky rock voice. My number one, however, would be Chris Cornell from Soundgarden, hands down. He's my number one favorite vocalist of all time. I think he's like top 3 or 2 rock vocalist of all time in terms of skill and talent. And if I could have a voice that was 25% that good, I'd be the happiest person on the face of the planet.
Yeah, he's not too bad.
Yeah, he's all right. He's okay.
I just want to back up to just, you know, you mentioned being in band and just your music teacher and all that stuff, and I just want to say I'm watching my son. He's in 6th grade right now. Mm-hmm. He's at the beginning of this experience that you mentioned, and mm-hmm. seeing what he's going through. So I guess through him I can kind of relate to what you're saying. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, no, I can imagine, and you can be damn sure that when I have kids one day, I'm going to be putting my kids in music and everything. I really feel like it expands your thinking. In high school, I just saw a huge difference between the thinking of someone who participated in music and someone who didn't. And I don't know, music just kind of, it really unlocks the creative side of you, and it usually makes you more outgoing, and it usually benefits you as a human being, much like in a really good way, in a really positive way. There's nothing bad that music can do to you. You know what I mean? Like, it does nothing but good things. And my biggest advice, especially to musicians and people who are aspiring musicians, is don't have tunnel vision. Don't listen to one type of music. Yeah, you might like metal, but don't listen strictly to metal. Listen to everything. Listen to the things that influence metal. Listen to rock. Listen to early metal. Listen to, you know, kind of everything. Yeah, even like branch out. Listen to jazz. Listen to classical. Listen to a lot of different things. Funk. You can really learn a lot of different, not even just techniques, but creativity, and put it into your music. Like, for example, let me give you a good example. Bill Ward, the drummer of Black Sabbath, he's a jazz drummer through and through. He's one of my drumming role models. He studied jazz. He was a pure jazz drummer. That's where his very jazzy, swingy feel and drum solos came from. And yet he's in one of the godfathers of, and one of the first metal bands, you know, heavy metal bands. So, yeah, that's my advice. Don't have tunnel vision, and keep your mind open to every type of music and everything around you.
I second that. And Black Sabbath, yeah, they're pretty good too. So, something I want to ask you about the band. How did you guys name the band Last Bullet? Where'd that come from?
The band name existed before I joined the band. So Mike and all the other guys came up with the name. When I first joined the band, I didn't know anything about the name. I just heard it. I just knew of the name, and I didn't love it. I can't remember why. I think it sounded maybe like cliche rock or something like that. But once they told me the meaning, then I really kind of gravitated towards it, and it's kind of stuck, and people seem to really, really like it, and now I love it. I think there couldn't be a better name. The meaning of it is it's a Last Bullet is a metaphor for you only get one shot, so use it wisely. And the reason why I like it so much is because that's how we play live. We play as if we only have one chance. We play to impress. We play to surprise. We play to shock. And that's how we live our lives. I have no plan B. I'm going all in on this. I live on my own in a basement apartment, is where I'm talking to you from right now. And but yeah, and sometimes I don't know how I'm going to make rent the next week. So, but that's the beauty of it. It keeps things interesting, and that's how we live our lives, as if there's one bullet left in the barrel.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. I think everyone out there can relate to that.
Yeah.
So what, lost my train of thought. What's your favorite song to perform? Do you have a favorite song?
My song personally is, actually, I'd say it's one of our... See, the thing is, when you've been playing the same songs over and over, you still love them.
Right.
But you're so excited to play new material that becomes more exciting at the time, you know? And we've been playing 2 songs that are brand new recently at the last 4 or 5 shows to see how people like them. And they're 2 songs that are going to be on our next EP for sure. One of them is called State of Confusion, and the other one is called Jet. I think you can see both of them, us playing live, both songs on YouTube, I believe. But one of those 2, I'd say definitely for sure. Jet's a lot of fun. It's a really, really catchy, straight-ahead rock tune about being a rock star, having all the money that you could possibly imagine, and owning your own private jet and all the stuff that you would do on that jet. And then State of Confusion is a little bit more like eerie, but it's very, very Zeppelin-y, very Sabbath-y, and I honestly, we can't wait to record these 2 songs and then the other 3 and show you guys how they sound, because these next songs, I think, not to take anything away from our old ones, but I think they're going to blow away our original stuff, to be quite honest.
Oh, I look forward to that. Do you guys have like an ETA on when you expect to get that EP out?
Yeah, we have a rough idea of when we would like to, and there's a couple things that are involved. We have to make sure that we can line up like a CD release party at the right time and whatnot. But we are recording in April, that's for sure. We're starting pre-production in 2 weeks. So in 2 weeks, we're going to go to our producer's house and just lay down the rough tracks, just to get them out of the way, and then start fiddling with stuff, tweaking stuff, working on ideas, seeing if we can move stuff, improve things here and there. And then we'll start recording early April. And the recording process for a 5-song EP will probably take, just the recording will probably take a solid straight week or 2 of being in the studio. Usually doesn't take that too long for only 5 songs. So, so a full week of being in the studio every single day, like open to close, like I'd say like 10, 12 hours is what it'll take to finish that EP. And when it's done, we're going to hold on to it until we find the right time, which we're hoping is May, but the latest June. So we just got a couple things to figure out and balance out, and figure out how we're going to release it, and all the logistics of that. So.
Okay, well, I will be on the lookout for that, so I can help promote that once.
Most definitely, you will not be disappointed, my friend.
Yeah, I look forward to hearing the new stuff. So, with the current album that's out there, where can people go buy that if they want it?
Yeah, they can search Last Bullet on iTunes. We're on iTunes. All 5 songs are there. They can also go to our Facebook. You can buy it right off of our Facebook. You can also download each individual track if you'd like to. We also have, they can actually go to CD Baby as well. It's cdbaby.com, and then look up Last Bullet, and you can download it, or that's the only site where you can buy a physical copy of the CD, and they'll ship it to you. The only other thing I wanted to mention was that we recorded a new song. It's not a new song. It was an old song that we've always had in our pocket, and we always perform it. But our producer came to us and said, "Hey, let's just do a one-off. I feel like recording something, so let's just do 1 track." So we're like, all right, let's do it. So we recorded a self-titled song called Last Bullet, and you can actually get that for free on our Facebook. If you go on our Facebook, it should be at the top on our playlist, and you can download that track for free. I think that's the only place that you can get it right now. But yeah, you don't have to pay for it, so that's the best part.
Okay, well, people should be on the lookout for that, and I have it because you emailed it to me.
Perfect. There you go.
Do you guys have any merchandise for sale anywhere that people can buy?
Yeah, we do. Unfortunately, we're still in the process of getting an online store set up. Once we're really looking forward to it. We really want to get that done because there are a lot of people all over the world. We have a lot of fans in Australia, a lot of fans in Texas, and they're all yelling at us saying that they want T-shirts and things like that. So we have a lot of merch. We have T-shirts. We're going to be getting some new designs. The T-shirts that we have right now are the same cover as our album, which is the shattered glass with the words "Last Bullet" across the chest. And then we also have our CDs, obviously, physical copies, and we also have guitar picks, custom-made guitar picks that say lastbulletmusic.com on them, and they have our logo on them. And for girls, we have guitar pick earrings, which are awesome.
Nice.
And then for guys, we also have a really cool Last Bullet. Well, it can be for girls too. A Last Bullet necklace. It's a really cool Last Bullet chain with a dog tag that says Last Bullet. And then am I allowed to swear on internet radio?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, man.
Okay. Yeah, it says Last Bullet, and then right underneath it says Straight Rock, no bullshit. And then we have a real bullet that we had to drill a hole in for every single necklace. So it's a necklace with a real bullet and a dog tag. So yeah, a bunch of stuff for sale, and we'll be putting that online soon. We just got to get the online store organized. So
nice. So do you have all that when? Yeah, not that many people will be able to go, but I mean, unless they're in your area. But do you have that stuff at your shows?
Always, every single show will have that available. So we'll always have a table set up with stuff and if not, you can always feel free to come up to us and ask, and we'll be more than happy to grab you something.
All right, so people, if you're in the Toronto area, check out Last Bullet because they rock. Okay, man. Anything else that you want to tell the world that we haven't talked about? I'm pretty much out of questions, so.
You know what? I think that's pretty much it. Just at the end of the day, we're just trying to bring back that rock and roll sound that a lot of people aren't playing anymore. And we're a bunch of honest guys that are just trying to make this our living. So all the support we can get is really appreciated. Any support is really appreciated. Even a Facebook like or a Twitter follower, it goes a long way, and every single one counts. And I thank every single person listening out there who's helped us out, has liked our Facebook, followed us on Twitter, tweeted us, retweeted us, left comments on our YouTube, things like that. And I think that's pretty much it. Just look forward to huge, huge things. We have a lot of really good feelings about this year. And the stuff that we have coming up. Lots of really, really cool stuff.
Okay, man. Well, I, for one, look forward to everything coming from you guys. And I want to truly thank you for taking the time to call and do the interview. It means a lot, and I appreciate it. No
problem, Spencer. It was my honor. Thanks for having us on the radio show. I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, and if once you guys get the EP recorded and do your release party and all that stuff, if sometime after that or around that time you want to do this again to help promote the EP, holler at me and I'll make it happen.
Of course, Metalhead Radio. I'll give you a shout. That's for damn sure.
Okay, man. Well, right now I'm going to end the interview, and we're gonna go into I got 4 Last Bullet tunes queued up and ready to roll. So you just hang tight for a minute, and I'm going to get these tunes cranking.
Perfect. And before you play those videos, make sure everyone looks out Rock Till We Die, the video for Rock Till We Die. I wanted to mention this to you, too, because it's a little interesting. I don't think you knew. I made that video from scratch. It's nothing special. I just made it on my computer here at home because I wanted something a little bit more interesting than just pictures or a slideshow. So I just put a bunch of footage together of all the shows we've been playing the past year or so. And I didn't have enough footage, so at the solo I had to improvise. So if you look very carefully at the solo, you can see myself Jack Blacking the solo and hacking it together, making a fool out of myself. And hopefully you laugh. If not, I apologize. I'm not a comedian full time. I'm just a lead singer. So I hope you enjoy that.
Yeah, well, and like I said, I already played it once tonight, but after the 4 tracks play, then I'm going to play the video again because I thoroughly enjoyed watching it. So
perfect. That's awesome. Great to hear.
So, okay, just hang tight for a sec.
Yep.
Right, metalheads, it's time for some last bullet. Prepare to shred your face off.